with Dr. Peter Folliard, the Dean of the School of Music and the Vice President for Innovation at Augustana University. Peter, welcome.
Thanks so much, Kelsey. Good to be here.
Great. Well, before we really dive in, I kind of want to just start by asking you what first drew you to music education, and what led you to Augustana?
I don't know where to start. I began as a musician, I think, age 3. My parents were huge music lovers, and I had grandparents that I never get to know. They passed away before I was born, but they were. I had a grandfather who was a vaudeville singer, so there was music in the blood and in the genes. Grew up in a really good church music program, and I think that was really formative. I, in my sophomore year of high school, got bit by this really interesting bug. I played an instrument called the euphonium, which is like a small tuba. It's a very niche instrument. It only plays in the band, not in the orchestra, except for about 7 to 9 major orchestral works. So I asked for a CD for Christmas of a euphonium player because I was like, I want to know more about this instrument, what it sounds like. And my parents found me the CD, one of like 2 CDs that was available in a Tower Records. That makes me sound super old. So it was of this gentleman named Brian Bowman, and this is about we're talking, this is about 1997. So you think about where we are technology wise and internet wise, and especially email wise. So I just went searching for how do I get in touch with this guy. Short of writing a letter, I'll write an email. And so I wrote an email to this guy, Brian Bowman, to talk at the University of North Texas, and the largest college of music in the country. I auditioned for him and then was accepted into that program. Everybody in that program ended up getting jobs in military bands because that's where euphonium players find professional employment. So I was taking auditions and doing well, but not winning the auditions. And I had always been playing the piano, and so I had interest in being a conductor. And I went and I did my master's degree at the Peabody Conservatory in conducting, and I took a conducting audition and I won. So the joke is good enough to lead the band, but not good enough to play in the band. I think that there's a funny parallel about like leadership, and sometimes, where are your strengths? So that one, uh, we learned my strengths were more in leadership, and that was always a good fit for me anyway. So I spent 4 years as a conductor with the United States Air Force Band in Washington D.C., which was amazing. It was under the Obama administration. It was super fun. I was in the White House conducting as a 26 to 30-year-old, and so I had gotten married during that time with my wife in graduate school, and being a military spouse was not what her calling was in life. And she said, "Pete, we anything else you'd like to do?" And I always wanted to teach at the college level. And I said, "Well, you need a doctorate for that." And so I was somewhere between, should I go for being a professional orchestral conductor? I love that literature and music, or just being in higher education. So I was fortunate enough to get accepted into the Eastman School of Music, which is one of our country's really great conservatories up in Rochester, New York. And so I went up there, was the assistant conductor with the Rochester Philharmonic, and doing my doctorate there in orchestral conducting. And I got the sense at that time that if I wanted to have a family, being a professional conductor was going to be really difficult. You win a job, you're in it for about 2 years, and then you have to apply for the next one, and you just try and keep growing in your positions until you become a music director, and then you have some tenure that you stay. But the challenge is always the orchestra is the permanent body, and the conductor is the fresh blood. And that changes in academia, right? The students are the fresh blood and you are the staying by. And so for stability and having a family, higher education then made a lot of sense. So I was applying for jobs the whole time in my doctorate, and I was in the finals for a position at Kent State University, along with one of my colleagues. He actually, when he left the Eastman School of Music and went to Augustana University, I filled his doctoral spot. There we both were at Kent State taking this audition. He got the job and he said, "I'm going to be leaving Augustana kind of high and dry. Would you like me to put your name forward?" And I said, "That'd be great." And here we are 9 years later. I came in as a visiting assistant professor to be the orchestra director, grew the orchestra program. They decided to build a school of music. I applied for the dean job and got the dean job. And uh, then we get into this whole AI side. So it was in summer of 2023 that I'm sitting on the President's Council, which is our policy making group when we set annual goals for the institution. And we're getting done with our goals for the year, and no one had said anything about AI. And as soon as November of 2022 hit and ChatGPT hit the market, I was fascinated and digging into it. And so I just raised my hand and said, I feel like we got a big miss here. This is really important, and not saying anything about it or not making any plans around this is a mistake. And as per usual, when you're in a leadership group at that level and you point out something that's missing, you're also volunteering to take the lead. So I was very comfortable with jumping into that space. And I, along with another colleague, formed an AI task force. And then we began sort of this other chapter, which is rapidly grown. And so, anyways, you asked me about music education. So I already got you out of music education. I'm still deeply involved in that and really passionate about it. And maybe here's the tie-in with AI is that I've always been passionate about how musicians literally amplify what they do, which requires technology. How it's great when you do a concert at Carnegie Hall, but there's only so many seats in that hall, and there's a whole big world out there. So how do you broadcast that? And that's leveraging technology. And so there is a through line here about how we leverage the digital ecosystem to amplify our ideas, our profile, and that's the through line for me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Also, by the way, my grandfather was actually a bugler in the Navy in World
Oh,
War
sweet.
II, so this whole military music thing is entwined in my family too.
How neat. Yeah, that's a really cool job that he had.
Well, I'm so glad that you brought it into a little bit more of the innovation part that you guys were doing at Augustana. Can you tell me a little bit about so this was 2023 that you thought we need to try something. What have you tried?
Yeah, great question. We started off right with the task force. And for me, one of the most foundational things that we needed to do was set first a glossary. We have a whole new bunch of terminology that everybody needs to get comfortable with, right? At one point it was email, and at one point it was I sent you a text. Like these were all new things at some point. And so when we say LLM or we say natural language processing, we don't want that deer in the headlight look. So it became all right, let's build a glossary. Let's also get some type of audit of what tools people are leveraging, how they're using them, and starting a sort of a group of practice. And the other thing that was also essential was, can we have some guiding policies? Um, so people know the do's and the don'ts. So our first year as a task force, we leaned into like, where do you go for the central information point on a campus? It should be the library. And so we created a library. It's essentially a library guide for AI. So it's library.augie.edu/AIAU. That was our initiative, AI at AU. So um, that has been there as a landing page, and we continue to update it and give people resources for, well, if I work with AI, how do I cite AI? So always responsible use, but we encourage the use. And that was the posture that we took, as opposed to the head in the sand, like we don't use AI here. That's always that scares me when people say that. I think um, that's like saying, how do we avoid the sun coming up? It's not possible. So the second year was about integrating AI and operations, and that was okay, let's leverage some large language model as our preferred LLM. We chose ChatGPT Teams, and then we made organizational accounts for ChatGPT Teams. So, example, HR at augie.edu got an account, and so multiple people can log into that account. For what it's worth, ChatGPT has not caught up to that multiple logins all at the same time. So that's a really good strategy for institutions who are looking to say, we want to dip our toe, but we don't want to spend that much money because you're talking about $25 a month. So we did 20 licenses in the first year and I monitored usage. I did training specifically on building custom GPTs. I thought that that would be a smart area for people to say, look, we're doing program review, or you think about all the things that we do within the life of an academic. Um, there are things that are, we follow this academic calendar rhythm. And so, can we create custom GPTs around that rhythm? And so, it's been awesome then to see what other people have done with with that skill set. We have a Center for Excellence in Teaching and Scholarship, and we've been pushing everybody to communicate more and more what they're doing there. So now this third year is about AI in academics. And so I'm teaching a course called Welcome to the Future. And we have a first year seminar at Augustana. It's really a combination between a first year writing course and a welcome to college orientation course. And professors across the institution teach sections of this class at 18 freshmen in a section. So I think we have, I don't know, 32 different sections of first year seminar. And you can pick any topic that you want that takes about 75% of the class on your topic, but then 25% is focused on this other. I think it's the other way around. I think it's 75% more of the writing and the orientation, and about 25% of whatever you want. You can get away with blurring the lines. It's sort of
Okay.
50/50, which
I'm
is
getting that yours is a little bit more about the
it
teaching.
is, yeah. And so this has been super fun. All of my freshmen this year all have ChatGPT Plus accounts. They just finished their first paper, the best college papers I've ever read in my life. All, responsibly using AI, citing AI. I mean, there are no grammar problems at all. It really is just about um, really deep dives, and the topics are fascinating. I read a paper yesterday about gene editing and CRISPR, and it was such a deep dive. And the resources were all really thoughtful and well done. So the students are loving it. It's been really fun. They can't believe that my approach has been go nuts with AI. Just tell me how you used it, and let's improve your skill set in using it. And I'm watching them. It's like seeing a college freshman with a rocket pack on. I mean, they're just taking off. And so I've been asking myself, gosh, should I be assigning them 10 papers instead of one? Which was sort of that was my initial goal. Maybe they can do more and do better than other students by saying yes to this technology. So we can get more in the details. I feel bad. I'm just talking.
No, no, it's great. So I'm hearing that you're really using the AI to kind of amplify the students' work output to be able to allow them to do more and better and deeper than they would normally be able to do, but in the same amount of time.
Yep. Total like, yeah, in the same amount of time, way more, way better. And I mean, the writing piece is just a part of it, right? That's a part of what an LLM does, but we'll be doing vibe coding, and we'll be doing well, I guess that's the biggest thing. I think once we move into vibe coding, that's when the world opens up. When this is all about how do we take their ideas and critical thinking and do something with it. And I think AI gives students the opportunity to just really imagine anything and build. So that's fun.
That's awesome. So you're really empowering them to kind of amplify themselves using these new tools.
And it's been awesome. Especially I would say the international students. It's fascinating what they're thinking about and bringing in, especially just I have a student who's writing about AI in traffic flow in Mongolia and how that's been utilized, but also some of the challenges associated with um, when things are just too black and white and binary. We have technology not functioning as a tool that's really helping us. It's actually frustrating people. And so working through those. But what she's understanding is anytime you implement something, it needs change management. And she's getting to that point faster instead of me leading to her to it. She's getting there by her own inquiry. And that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so how are you amplifying yourself?
Oh, I use AI all the time. It's gotten to the point where I don't ask myself how many chats I've initiated in a day. We built an AI, we call it the power users or the super user group on campus. And I said, if you have 5 unique chats a day where you're, drilling down in one thing, I call you a power user. I think I've got to have 20 or 25 going a day of really deep. It has replaced Google for me, and I think that that's for anyone looking to start. One of the best ways to start with an LLM is instead of Googling it, put it in an LLM. I don't care which one, but that's so. Oh my gosh, I've built tons of applications. We're about to launch an on-prem large language model using ChatGPT's open source model, which I'm super excited about. So we don't have to keep paying for accounts with ChatGPT. Instead, we bought one NVIDIA chip and we can host about 50 simultaneous sessions at once. So fingers crossed for any institution that has about 3,000 people. I'm hoping we don't break the server, but this is us dipping the toe in the water. And it's my favorite part is empowering my colleagues. And I use AI to help me brainstorm about that. Every single step of everything I've described, I've done with AI as a partner. So even from the very beginning about what's your AI strategy, which I think is a question we all have to answer, AI is a part of building my AI strategy. So it's inseparable from what I do.
Okay, so you're able to, it sounds like, take on a lot more, go a lot deeper, so are your students. Where do you see the opportunity for Augustana as a whole?
So I place-based education matters where you're located.
Yeah.
Um, Sioux Falls is a growing Midwest community. It is located sort of between Minneapolis, which is 4 hours to the north of us, and Omaha, which is 2.5 hours to the south. And, populations in those cities are over 1 million, and Sioux Falls is around 300,000 in the metro area. And we just continue to see that grow and grow and grow and grow. I think the opportunity for Augustana is, as the leading university in this city, helping the entire city and region embrace AI and discover AI strategy. So we've partnered with Google to like, we're looking at hosting an AI summit next semester, and we want it to be about bringing employers together so that they can talk about AI strategy and learn about AI strategy. We want students to be there as well, and I'm really excited about the crosstalk between what employers are looking for from perspective. Um, Let me say that right. We want prospective employees to know what skill sets they need in order to integrate. So in this first year seminar, I've got my students, they've already completed 3 Google certifications in Google Cloud Skills Build, which has been awesome. It's free and it's really deep and gives them labs to do. But again, they're going to walk out with something that says, not only do I know what AI is, can I show you that I've got some industry backed credential?
Yeah. Are you doing any, like, continuing education programs with the surrounding community too?
So this would be the kickstart of that. We want to do that. Um, Need more people to help me. That's I like, if there were more hours in a day, I would use them to, again, bring the community together to talk about this. Because, like I said, everybody has to answer the question, "What is your AI strategy?" And the only answer that is not acceptable is we don't have one.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And how do you feel like, and something like music, which is obviously going to be very in-person, physical, human art form, how are all these AI efforts impacting the music education?
Yeah, great question. So if we look at the tools that are available right now in generative music making, tools like Suno.ai are unbelievable. Like, you no longer need to subscribe for a royalty-free license for anything. I have a daughter with ADHD, and I built her an entire album about, like, how to, like, brush her teeth and wash her hair, and, like, the music is totally synced with, like, her time, and it's been awesome. Um, so it empowers everybody to have the opportunity to be a music creator, which is a place that we were not before, but there's a whole part of the neurology of, like, and the science of music making and the spiritual component of music making that you don't get the same jollies from a prompt and a song than you do from, like, sitting down and, creating a song. I'm a terrible lyricist. I can't write lyrics. And yes, I can type in ChatGPT, I want to write a song about whiskey and my dog and my wife who left me, but that's not the same as, like, spending time and wrestling with that. And so, do I think AI can play a role in that? Absolutely. I don't want AI to replace the human voice, and creativity is one of the most exciting things that we have. I really enjoy always thinking of something new and moving towards it. That motivates me every day. To think that I could just get, well, a computer can do that. Like, yeah, I guess if that's always the case, I'm gonna be pretty bummed. So, um, but let's go backwards a little bit. AI in music making and in tools are not new. Machine learning has been going on for a long time, and especially in audio repair software. So even this, um, right now in our conversation, my HVAC system in my room is just making a ton of noise. And so if we wanted to have noise removal, that's artificial intelligence doing that. It's identifying a common frequency and it's saying, can we eliminate just that frequency and yet still keep the fidelity of what we're doing? That's artificial intelligence, or it's at least machine learning. So that's been going on since the 2010s at least. And we're just more aware of what to call that now. We didn't call it AI then, I think. November 2022 with ChatGPT is all of a sudden generative AI has made us more aware of like, oh my gosh, this has been going on for a long time. So um, we are asking students all the time to leverage AI or at least digital power in their music making. So let's say you're a guitarist and you sing. Well, wouldn't it be cool if you had a backing piano track, but you don't have a pianist? Well, you can create that very easily now by just playing your song into Apple's Logic and then creating a keys track, a bass track, a drum track. You can do stem separation of songs that you really like and drop the vocals and insert your own vocals, or drop the drums and insert your own drums. So there's all of these different avenues to be creative. I just think it's important that people start off with a plan about what it is that they hope to accomplish, because it can just all of a sudden become um, just a creative initiative and then nothing ever gets done.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I've heard from a lot of other educators, and one thing that they're excited about with AI is the ability to expand access, right? Like be able to make their teaching more accessible, be able to make more students be able to reach it. And I hear you saying that too in terms of like your surrounding community, being able to support others. Do you think there's any opportunity for that in music education? I'm guessing that music education is something that is probably a little bit harder to access given that you need so much of the physical space and the materials and the time and all of that.
Kelsey, I think that's a really thoughtful question. So access and accessibility, I think let's take a couple different angles on this. So one, we have a blind faculty member with us right now, and how we communicate music to somebody who's visually impaired, you can't hand them a piece of paper and say, read this, which is still, music is one of, I think will be one of the last analog things that we give up, of passing sheet music back and forth. However, what you can communicate via passing digital music around, and I don't just mean digital sheet music, but rather something that's called MIDI. It's a technology from the 1970s. It stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. And it allows you, at a bare minimum, MIDI communicates what note you pressed, how hard you pressed it, and how long you held it. That actually gives you a lot more specificity than me giving you a piece of sheet music. If I give you a piece of sheet music with the notes C and a half note and forte, that that's different than me giving you MIDI information that says it was actually very specifically this C with this instrument playing, and I hit it this hard on a scale of 0 from 100 to 27. There's just so much more information. So when it gets to accessibility, um, and how we share things and how we create things, MIDI is actually much more flexible. And again, that's a much older technology, almost 50 years old. Um, Expanding access to instruments and music creation, I think we've got, there's this hard thing with education, which is if we want to change how students are experiencing it, we've got to first change college so that those graduates, here they are on my screen, like are going to teach these students over here with that new skill set. And then there's this natural lag of, okay, well, we've got 20-year-olds right now that we're teaching this, and then they're going to be first year teachers. And for 20 years, now we're going to catch students up to this is the new normal. I would love to see that get faster through professional development. And so I think the continuing education part that you brought up earlier is what's really important about, that's how we expand access, is we got to get our current workforce up to speed faster.
That is really interesting. So how are you teaching your students right now?
Well, so we constantly say, are we preparing our students for their future or our past? And right now we've completely redone our entire music curriculum to focus on, first of all, like, where is the demand? It's not in, I went to music school again thinking I'd be a professional musician. That's the same as saying I want to be in the NBA. We want these students to be able to go get jobs in music, and there's a lot more jobs available for popular music. And so we've really revamped the curriculum to make sure that in music theory, we're not just teaching, here's how Bach wrote music. Don't get me wrong, like J.S. Bach is top of the list for me, but um, it's here's how Paul McCartney also used that same language in order to make his success. And here's how, then we keep going. So um, Every bit of our curriculum is technology infused, and that's a differentiator for us. So earlier when you asked, like, how does Augustana and its profile in where you're located, that's our niche, and it's been attractive. I wish more people knew about us, because it's a super innovative approach, and it's definitely working, and our students have an edge.
So, what are the different skills and mindsets that you think your students need to have now in 2025 that maybe they didn't need to have even in 2015?
Oh, flexibility, the willingness to work in a gig economy is there. I Gone are the days, I think, unless you want to be an educator, which we see so much, with our federal government right now, so much turmoil in terms of what does funding and support look like. Um, we have to be able to tie together. This is one of my lines. I can make $500 an hour playing the piano for a wedding. Play the cocktail hour, and turns out the budget, is high for weddings, so you charge them a premium. The problem is people aren't getting married Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And so how do you make it work? Well, that might mean you have a private studio and you're teaching, 10 students over the course of a week and you're charging them X. And that may mean that you're working at a church and you're working with the choir, and that's another $20,000 a year that you're making. It's patchwork on how you make that whole thing work. And so this entrepreneurial approach to that's totally different from 2015. 2015, it was still, we're sending you out to be a thing, like a cog in the machine, as opposed to, um, why does it have to be a cog? Why does it have to be a machine? Or I can be a cog for 3 hours a day and then I can go do X, Y, and Z. That's the mindset I think that's really changed.
That makes a lot of sense. One other skill that I think you are teaching your students that you didn't even mention is that in this class that you're teaching, where you have a student who's writing this paper on what was it, traffic stops in Mongolia.
Yeah.
And they're doing that for just one of several assignments in a course. You're also teaching your students to really expand themselves and amplify their thoughts, which I think not all students are learning right now. And it means that no matter what job they go into, they're going to be extra prolific relative to their peers.
Yeah. Do you have thoughts on, like, your own education and where you feel like it was missing? And I'm just curious on my end, like, what can we learn from you in your most recent experience in graduating and what you went through, and how we would reorient that right now?
Oh, that is such an interesting question. I actually think that the biggest skill that I came out of my education with is like the ability to learn new skills.
Nice.
And it has been very helpful in this new world where like there is AI for so many things. And so the barrier to learning a new skill has gone way down. However, people's confidence that they can learn a new skill has not gone down or has not gone up
Yeah.
in relative to it. People are able to do way more than they think they're able to do right now. You just have to know you can do it.
So what's fascinating about what you just shared is the ability learning how to learn is not a major, like that's and like we still have this whole system set up to be, I'm going to be a this. Like I'm going to be a nurse, which is awesome. I'm going to be a lawyer, which is awesome. Like the I don't know, like I've heard people say now is the time where we need philosophers and thinkers. It's very true. But we need people who can and want to be hungry to learn. That'd be fun if that was more the goal of what we were trying to do instead of create a thing. We always hear from employers that that's what they want, is somebody who can critically think. But again, critical thinking is not a major. So
Yeah.
should it
Yeah.
be? No.
And I think our new tools allow you to do so much more. This is so I recently replaced a dishwasher. I did not go to school for this. I'm not a plumber nor an electrician. And YouTube can get you a lot of the way there, but a YouTube video is static. So if your dishwasher is slightly different than the one in the video, then like all of a sudden you have an extra tube and where does it go? And what do we do about the
Yeah.
fact that your counter is a little bit smaller than the one in the
Did you
video?
change it? Did you do it?
Yeah, I did, and
Way to
ChatGPT can
go.
help with that, right? ChatGPT can be able to tell you, "Okay, your counter is a little bit smaller. Here are the things you can change, and here are the things that actually you don't wanna mess with that." And it makes it doable, um, but I think the biggest thing that we need to be teaching our students and teaching everybody in a continuing education sense is, to open their minds to the fact that, "Oh, I should ask," like, as opposed to thinking immediately, "I need to hire somebody," or "I need to" export that or something. Um, what if I could do it? Can I at least look into if it's possible? Maybe there's a chance I could do it. Maybe there's a chance there's not. One time I changed an outlet, I got shocked. I called an electrician. Like, you can't do everything, but you can do more than you thought you could do.
Yeah. There's no more I don't know or
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. Like that's not allowed. And that's one of the rules in my class. Like you're not allowed to say that. And the students are so empowered now that they realize like, oh my gosh, I can do whatever. So just out of curiosity, have you played around with Gemini and the live camera feature? So
No.
this is cool. Like bust out the Gemini app on whatever device you have. And in ChatGPT on the mobile app, you'll have, advanced voice mode, which is where it dialogues back and forth with you, or just dictation mode. In Gemini, in that same location, there's a button that looks like a camera and some like kind of cool three lines going down with some dots. And it allows you to turn on your video camera, which it's a constant live feed of what you're seeing. And you can dialogue with the large language model about that. So like if you were to, this is goofy, but this is where we're going. This is, I think, what ChatGPT is designing right now, or OpenAI is designing right now, is a wearable that can see what you see and you can dialogue with it. But right now, Gemini's got that. It's you want to change something and you're like, what kind of screw is this? And what type of screwdriver do I need? And you don't need to like stop and take a picture and type it. You're just wearing it and it's seeing what you see. So might up your game.
That's awesome. Well, this has been so fun. I have learned so much. I have one final question for you, which is if you could take any of these innovations, either that you're dreaming of or that we currently have, and if you could have had access to it as a student, what is the one innovation you would pick?
Great question. I can't imagine going backwards. I've loved growing up with it. That's been fun. I think that's been part of the learning process. Let's see. If I were back in school, if I was in undergraduate right now and I had generative AI at my fingertips, Kelsey, I've never thought about that. I don't know. I'm frozen with the possibilities and gosh, I certainly would have, I have no idea. I can't even imagine. Gosh, that puts you in the position of our students right now. Like, what is this like right now? It's like, I don't know. Can I get back to you, Kelsey?
You can absolutely get back to me.
You
It's a big
totally
question. I'm excited
stumped
to
me.
hear what you come up with.
I am stumped. I wish I had an answer. But that's gonna stick with me today. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thank you so much for being here with us and for sharing all of the things that you're doing at Augustana. It's been so fun to hear about all the ways that you're innovating. I didn't even know that there were classes like the one that you're teaching that are happening right now. So I'm excited for your students.
Thanks, Kelsey. Nice to talk to you.